When it comes to programming tools, Maven is one of those that I have struggled with trying to understand the documentation. I do like to look at the documentation, hoping to understand cool features, shortcuts, maybe find a performance boost here or there. So, here, what I am attempting to do is to break Maven down into small pieces for the viewer to understand, and then build some confidence with those, then assemble those small concepts together so that we can tackle larger concepts. This means that I will be pushing the description of the pom.xml to a time further down the road. I feel like introducing that too early causes some confusion. Um, some things that I expect the viewer to understand, I feel like the viewer can find adequate documentation on how to install Maven and then how to run the MVN executable on the command line. While going through this documentation, there's going to be a lot of URLs. I'm not going to switch between the presentation and the browser to show those URLs. I'll leave that as an exercise for the viewer. You can pause it and go look at the web page. I'm just trying to put things in a logical order. You should be able to find a link in the description to the slides, and also there should be a link to the zip file containing supporting documents that I reference in this presentation. As an overview, I want to talk about the state of documentation, lineup dates, release numbers, and give you some perspective on where documentation itself is. And then I want to talk about the state of Maven in 2025. So, what is the state of documentation? A lot of times I like to highlight the owner's website. You can find that at maven.apache.org. They are the organization which has the most to gain from you understanding the tool. They want you to succeed. They'll put mailing lists together, documentation together. They may even recommend a few books here or there. You can find in this guide's URL beneath it, there's a Maven in 5 minutes guide and a Maven in 30 minutes guide. Sonatype was an organization that put together a Maven PDF that was back, I want to say it was 2008, and later it was split into two PDFs, Maven by Example and Maven the Complete Reference. You can download those from the URLs. Maven by Example is a cookbook style approach to understanding Maven, whereas Maven the Complete Reference is more of a tutorial and instruction guide. O'Reilly, a main player in the technical documentation business, published Maven the Definitive Guide in September 2008. And when I looked at Manning Press, I did not see a book offered by them that focused primarily on learning Maven. Some other pieces of documentation that you may be interested in, there is a history link which lists release numbers and the dates they came out and required Java versions. We'll talk about that more coming up. There's a philosophy of Maven page, which I can't say has helped me very much. And for various technologies, I will go out and read their Wikipedia page to see how Wikipedia approaches it. And As far as historical documentation, if you go to maven.apache.org/ref, you will see a bunch of version numbers, and those version numbers relate to various versions of Maven that have been released. And what that means is that version that you find out on the website is going to be the documentation that corresponds to the most recent version of Maven. If you need something that corresponds more closely to your version of Maven that you were running locally, you might want to stop there and grab a version that relates to your version. I think the number of changes has been small, but I do sometimes get hit with something that's changed in documentation. Okay, so here I have assembled the release numbers on the far left, and when I had two branches of information go on, I made a second column, dates, the year at the beginning, followed by the month, the date, required Java version, some key documentation points along the way, and where I got this information, https maven.apache.org docshistory.html. Maven released their 1.0 beta in 2002. Then their official 1.0 release came about in 2004. And back then, we're still on Java 4. Version 2 came out in 2005. When O'Reilly's book came out in September 2008, the last major release of documentation was 2.0.9. You can see in 2.2.1, November 2009, they moved up to Java 5 as the required version. Then came 3.0.0 in 2010, with Sona typed copyright saying 2008 to 2011, and me not being able to find much other supporting documentation, I can't tell if that 2008 refers maybe that they're based on 2.0.9, or if there was a major revision in 2011 to take note of 3.0.0. I think the 2011 was just a splitting of the PDF files. So here at 3.0.3, I did list the major version for 2011. If you pay attention to the numbers, you'll see the 3.6.3 to 3.8.1 transition skips over 3.7.0. You can read about that in the release notes. My understanding was 3.7.0 changes were so different that it ended up being pushed to 4.0.0, and that's what happened there. 3.8.6 is the version I have installed on my computer. It works well for me. And with these 2025 versions, you can see that Maven is still active on these previous releases, supporting Java 7 with 3.8.9, supporting Java 8 on 3.9.11, and the 4.0 released in 2025. Not yet the GA release, but having alpha and beta released. So here in Maven 2025, as I alluded to earlier, Maven is on their fourth release. So you've seen that there was also a version 1 release, a version 2 release, and a version 3 release. I cannot imagine my Java ecosystem being different, being without Maven as part of the ecosystem. It is difficult. Features, you'll find some things in the code if you dive deep into it that are just leftovers from earlier versions. Maybe there's some backwards compatibility things that they try to address. I admit it's difficult, and assembling this documentation has been a difficult thing. And that is my conclusion to the introduction. Thank you for listening.